I like saying that these days I don't suffer from FOMO, I suffer from JOMO, the joy of missing out.
Well, guest, who do we have on Good Times? None other than Lisa Ray. Good to see you.
Great to see you again.
Yes, it's been a long time. And since you're talking to Good Times, what's your idea for Good Time?
Oh man, I like saying that these days I don't suffer from FOMO, I suffer from JOMO, the joy of missing out. I like to just be with my family, quiet, preferably in nature. That's my idea of a good time. And of course, watching something on Amazon Prime.
And you are a mommy now.
Yes.
So many congratulations.
Thank you so much.
So how is motherhood treating you?
Oh my God, I'm not sure. I mean, I know that there's been a change. I can't always pinpoint it. But obviously, I'm obsessed with my babies. I wake up in the morning with a smile, or seeing their smile will completely change my mood. There is a feeling of selflessness. There's an excitement. There's an excitement to see their development, their purity, but also to see the world through their eyes. Because it's like rediscovering the world for me. So it's like an incredible bonus, I don't feel that I am taking care of them. I feel that they are helping me grow.
Oh, so sweet. And now coming back to 4 more shots. So we've seen you on screens after a long time in the digital space. So do you think the
first time in the digital space?
Exactly.
Yes.
So
Yeah.
do you think the space is rather democratic because actors, writers, producers and characters that we don't see on the big screen finally find their way?
I think exactly as you put it, it's a much more democratic time in general in content in India. Very exciting, very fluid as well. And a bit experimental, dare I say, where we get a chance to see stories, to experiment with narratives that we haven't seen so much in India before. In 4 More Shots, Please, obviously we are sort of projecting a kind of a story or narrative that, dare I say, is through the female gaze, female-centric. And I don't even enjoy having to say female-centric because, but the fact is that so many things have been male-centric for so long in India that we do have to define it that way. Women haven't had a chance in India to tell their stories on their own terms, to present themselves as neither the Devi nor the vamp, but what we actually are, full-blooded, characters embracing our flaws, being frank and candid and, making our mistakes and celebrating our joys. And that is, I think, something to celebrate today. And that's a big reason of why I wanted to be a part of 4 More Shots, Please, because it's also celebrating female friendship. I think obviously the digital space gives a lot more flexibility, but also remember that in 10 episodes, we get a chance to explore characters a lot more in depth than you would in a film.
Yeah, because you're constrained for just, you work on that character over like 6 months, but in 2 hours, it's just like all over. And here you, I think, live that character for a longer period.
Yeah, the characters get to breathe a little bit more and the storylines get to breathe.
And so you play a movie star who's also involved with one of the characters.
Yes.
So when they came to you with this role, so what was it an instant yes or?
I did hesitate, but not for the reasons that you might imagine. I was very excited by the content and the idea and the themes because my surrogacy was going on in the background. And I couldn't actually reveal that because, it's a very delicate matter in the sense that you want to make sure that your babies are going to be healthy when they're delivered and things like that. So I was kind of it's very much, I think, a modern woman's dilemma of, juggling your personal life and your professional life. And I kind of finally said, you know what, let me just go for it. But I kind of had to put also this, these restrictions on our shooting dates. I said, Rangita, I really want to do it, but you have to finish all my work in one schedule. Okay. Fortunately, I got the call back and she said, okay, we're on. We're going to do that. And it sounded like it was a diva move, but it was for a very different reason. No matter what you say, when there are more women on a set, you're not going to be as objectified. And I'm not even going to blame the men. There simply is a very different dynamic. I can go into that territory and say that obviously in India there are issues where women become more objectified. But on this set, it was very unself-conscious. It was very easy. I was very comfortable. So basically I flew off to Georgia for my baby's delivery because they were delivered via surrogate and delivered the manuscript of my upcoming memoir. So it was,
oh wow.
It was a little bit of a busy time last year.
So tell us a bit about your memoir.
I'm very excited / nervous slash...
What is it called though? I mean,
It's called Close to the Bone. And it's going to be, it's to be published by HarperCollins India. I'm very proud of it. I'm also nervous. It's a very candid account of my experiences from birth up until my marriage. And I think that what I have to share in my story is not simply my story, but the lessons that I've learned obviously along the way, and the fact that I'm actually quite privileged to have also seen the evolution in India from 1991, when I first landed as a 16-year-old, to here I am sitting here today as a 46-year-old, and also discussing a project which is also celebrating new content and something exciting and a leap forward. And the fact that I've somehow sustained myself over 30 years, even though my entire career started as an accident, is, I think, a story to share, and that's why I'm sharing it. I hope I can serve people, and it's not an ego-based kind of a memoir.
We need to hear stories like that, because I have followed your career very closely, and you actually showcase the strength of a woman. So now when you look back, which was the most trying time, and having overcome those difficulties?
There's been a lot of very trying times in my life that have not previously been revealed, but will be revealed in the book. And I think that was also very important, is to take off the mask and the assumptions that people make about someone in this business, that somehow your life must be perfect because, we're dressed and we look very nice and we have the makeup and the hair. But, behind that, everyone is a human being, and we all, I think, go through very similar travails, obstacles. Obviously, cancer is something that I've spoken about very openly, but I have had a lot of personal struggles. And it started right in the beginning with my career, because the reason I call myself an accidental actress is I never planned on being in this line. And the reason my career started is as a direct result of a very serious car accident, which my mom was paralyzed, and I just barely came out of that car accident. And imagine, simultaneously on the other side of the planet, I was launched on the cover of Glad Rags. So from a very young age, I had this unique perspective, because on one hand, I was experiencing what everyone defines as success, profile, fame, money, attention. And on the other hand, simultaneously, I was experiencing a great emotional and personal low. So from that point of view, how do you define success? It forced me from a relatively young age to redefine success for myself, to understand that what society defines as success is not what's going to satisfy your heart and heal you emotionally.
I know what's really endearing about you, and which I've always found, is that you've been so candid and open about stuff. Now you have people talking openly, because now social media has given them that platform. And
yes,
in those days you didn't have that, but you were always very open. So is that the way you are, or?
I didn't start out that way, I think. I have had the benefit of a lovely upbringing, obviously a liberal upbringing, because my parents had already defined a lot of society's rules by coming together and getting married. At that time, my mother's Polish, my father's a Bengali. They had to defy both of their families to come together. So I guess maybe that sense of rebellion is in the blood. That's the way that I see it today, of course, going out there speaking your truth. But no, it's also been a process of growing as a woman, I think, and getting to know yourself, and also growing in confidence. I think that when you have a stronger sense of who you are, you feel more confident and unshakable in order to be able to share your story openly.
And when you started off in Mumbai, say 30 years ago, 16, Glad Rags model, now, and the time now, what do you see? Do you think this generation has it easier, or was it a little more uncomplicated then?
It was more organic then. Today it's more organized, but a lot more business-like and transactional, which is a good and a bad thing. I think this generation is more self-aware. So there are certain advantages, but they are the generation that will take us forward, and at the same time it's a very confusing time. The way I have of describing it is, of course, in India in the 90s, we didn't have as much exposure, forget just India, the world.
Yeah.
you know, to so many things. You know, there wasn't as much data coming at us. There weren't as many ads and channels and everything like that, content. And the end result of that was that there's still people who remember some of my ads from the 90s. And I'm not giving myself credit, I'm also saying that because there was less content, so things were more memorable. Of course, ads, that was sort of the heyday of ads. I think that there was a lot of great talent in ads in the 90s. I mean, the caliber of A.R. Rahman was composing jingles, and that should tell you something about the caliber of ads. And we're trying to be creative and push boundaries in our own way. Today, you can't remember an ad from yesterday, right? It's just, but it's also, it's just too confusing, it's too loud, there's too much noise. So I think that the biggest challenge for this generation is to find their center, to find their peace. And even though young women today are outspoken, and I completely support that and condone that, at the same time, finding your unique voice when the world is throwing a lot of opinions at you is a very unique challenge for this generation.
And also now, with Me Too and women speaking up their truth and everybody rallying around them, do you think it's going to be a long time till we get to that stage? Now, the Indian film industry is just waking up to Me Too. It's taken Hollywood that much time to speak up against people. So
I think considering that India's not too far behind, you know, there are a lot of things, of course, that have to change. And for me, it's just equalization. There's two words I would say. I consider myself a feminist, but that is still a very loaded word in India, and people feel a little threatened by it because maybe they don't understand it. Because for me, feminism is simply equality and choice. That's all it is. And mixed in with that is a little bit of maybe not judgment, less judgment, you know? I'm fine. You do what you do, I'll do me, and let's accept each other. You know, I have, you know, a lot of people may not know this about me, but I've traveled extensively through India. I've lived, you know, a very pared down existence. I've lived in ashrams, and I've traveled by car all over India. And so I know India actually intimately, and I respect that, and I have immersed myself also in traditions and spiritual traditions and things like that, and I embrace that. So it's not about, you know, you should live your life this way or that way. It's simply we should take the should out of the conversation. If you want to wear a burqa, if you want to, you know, practice your traditions, please do that. I think that's beautiful. But don't judge someone who doesn't want to do that. Or is creating their own new lifestyle. Perhaps drawing a little bit, you know? I mean, it is a global world today, and we should, in fact, it's a gift to be able to say, I'm going to take a little bit from this, from my, you know, traditions, and I'm going to take a little bit of modernity, and I'm going to mix it up together, and this is me. That's a blessing. So that's something that we should actually condone, because that's what evolution is. Evolution, otherwise you stagnate. You stagnate, you know, this kind of like, and I obviously feel even more passionately about it because there was a certain amount of judgment that I had gotten in the early days, because I'm not pure-blooded in any way. You know, and there's that concept of, you know, diluted blood and pure blood, and what are you? I got a lot of that. So I had a lot of identity issues growing up. Today, I can stand here today or sit here today and say, I am so damn proud of who I am, and it is my differences that make me unique and that are my strengths. And I would hope that every woman, and I will speak obviously to women because it's closer to my heart, every young woman today should find their differences and embrace that, and not just try to, you know, sort of fit into the herd. And social media obviously creates a lot of issues for young women today.
It does.
Body images and fitting in and how you should look and what you should eat, and
validation.
That's validation. That's a tough one for anyone. I start feeling like, oh my God, you know, when I look at social media. So I kind of try to control that. Meditation. I'm not trying to preach, but finding that still inner, you know, point in yourself is will go a long way in being able to find yourself.
All right, and it's lovely to see you back on screens. We hope to see more.
Thank you. I'm very excited about 4 Shots More, please. I think it's, you know, it's a great.
4 shots more anytime in your life?
But you know, no, I would never have 4 shots in a row. I don't even drink that much, but 1 shot maybe, yeah. But here, obviously, the context is that each girl has 1 shot. I don't think we're trying to condone that, you know, we're trying to say that they're alcoholics and they're each having 4 shots, you know. But it's a fun and fabulous fabulous series. And I think that it's also obviously challenging, and it's got layers, because we are also trying to present a very different alternative narrative of young women in India today.
And also your favorite binge food?
Oh, depending on the day, actually. It really depends on the day and the mood, and I don't moderate myself too much anymore. I do like the 80-20 rule. Do you know what that is? 80% of the time I sort of 20% eat whatever I want. So I don't binge that much anymore. But I do binge on content from Amazon Prime. Now that you asked me, bam!
Thank you so much for talking to us.
Thank you so much. That was so much fun.
Yeah, same here.